Good evening. Dairy farmers have been targeting supermarkets in Shropshire today as they campaign against the price they're being paid for milk. The so-called Milk Trolley Challenge involves farmers clearing the shelves of milk, leaving the stores without any stock. Now, the average cost of a 4-pint carton of milk is 89 pence. That works out at 39.2 pence a litre. Of that, some farmers get 23p or as little as 15p per litre. And that's well below what farmers say is the cost of production. Our All Affairs correspondent David Gregory-Kumar reports on a day of protests and explains the problems facing our dairy industry.
This is the Milk Trolley Challenge, the latest in a series of protests right across the region. Last night in Shrewsbury, supermarket milk was moved around the store, but today, having emptied the shelves of milk and paid for it, farmers in Telford gave it away for free in the car park.
I got up this morning and for the last couple of months I haven't wanted to go to work, because I know at the end of today I'll be worse off than yesterday, and at the end of this week I'll be worse off than the beginning of the week, and that's not a great feeling.
So why are farmers so angry? Well, on this dairy farm north of Stoke-on-Trent, they don't actually supply their milk to the supermarkets. But the low price the supermarkets charge is having a huge impact on the company they do supply their milk to, and that means trouble for the farm.
As the supermarkets use it and keep devaluing it and making it cheaper and cheaper, he has to come down with that as well. He's under that pressure. It's crucifying his business too.
Why should something that good be used as a loss leader and be depreciated and made worthless, really?
In the last year, the milk price Tom and Karen get has gone from 32 pence per litre down to 23p. That price drop means they're down £22,000 a month compared to this time a year ago. But the milk price has been higher and farmers were making money, and then they paid off the debts they'd accrued in the bad years previously, and then they invested in stuff like this, new housing for animals. And the more money you spend, the better the animal welfare, and of course that means better productivity. But at today's prices, investment is basically impossible. And even on a fairly large modern dairy farm like this one, they're faced with really tough choices.
I'm selling the car. It is just a car, but these things need feeding. And without these, we don't have a business. And also we've got to grow them and produce them to a certain standard for longevity and for health. And, the money's got to go into that.
10 years ago, there was 20,000 dairy farmers. We're down to less than 10,000 now. There's something like 20 a week getting out at the moment. When it comes to the winter, which are the harder months for people to produce milk, it costs more money through the winter. I can see a lot more people getting out.
It may be a summer of discontent for our dairy farmers, but the real reckoning will come this winter.
And David is at the dairy farm in North Staffordshire for us this evening. David, are we likely to see more protests, do you think?
Well, that's a good question, Mary. Now, many of the protests, the ones we've seen recently, are a bit ad hoc, but many have been organised by Farmers for Action. And the man in charge of Farmers for Action here in the West Midlands has actually stepped down because he says he wasn't getting enough support for direct action, and he's here now. Paul Rowbottom, why did you resign basically from Farmers for Action? What support weren't you getting?
Well, the last protest we tried to organise, only 30 farmers turned out. Well, you can't shut any factory with 30 farmers, not possible.
So what worries farmers? What are their concerns if they do turn out and protest?
I think some farmers have been threatened, or they feel threatened by the processors as they're going to lose the milk contract, even though they're losing money. But I'm afraid the farmers have got to toughen up and get out there and stick together with the service industry and get as many people out as possible.
Now, you're not a farmer yourself, you're in the feed industry, you supply feed for animals like this to farmers. What's the impact of this squeeze on prices for you when you're sort of further down the supply chain?
Well, from our point of view, we can't get the money in off farmers because obviously they haven't got it. All the service industry, as I speak to vets and everybody else, everybody's struggling. And the simple fact is, as farmers go out of business, which is happening, some of us will go as well.
So what's going to happen over the next 12 months, say?
Well, I think in the next 12 months, if farmers don't get together with the service industry and come out and take some direct action, I would think you'll probably see a third of dairy farmers go out of business.
Paul Rowbottom, formerly of Farmers for Action, thank you very much for talking to us. Well, there is a big NFU meeting next week about all this, and actually about falling lamb prices as well. And of course, if there are any more dairy protests, we'll bring them to you here on Midlands Today. But for now, back to you in the studio, Mary.
David, thank you.